Hi guys, Alec, Peirce, Scuba, Tech Tips once again. I'm back up here at good old Simcoe Diving in Barrie, Ontario. Lake Simcoe, a great place. Make sure you drop in if you're up this way. Good diving in Lake Simcoe too. Ask them about it. And I just want to spend a couple of minutes here again answering another question from one of our viewers. Thanks for all your comments, guys. Keep them coming. I answer every one if I possibly can. I occasionally, and from this particular viewer, got a question about swivel first stage. And he basically asked me, he said, you know, my local dive store, my LDS, is showing me regulators, and some have swivels and some don't. And he's saying that, you know, I should get one with a swivel on it. And it's more money. Of course it is. It's a feature, right? So it's a good idea or not. So I thought I'd take 1 minute and just talk about the swivel first stage. And bottom line is, I think it's a good idea. Sure, why not? It's a little bit like tinted glass on your automobile. Do you need tinted glass? That's questionable. But you want air conditioning? Yes, you get air conditioning, you get tinted glass. It's kind of one of those things. So if you move up from the very basic regulator up and you get a balanced regulator, then you get a balanced regulator with adjustable second stage, somewhere in there, one of those regs is going to have a swivel on it because they tend to package the features on rate, just like on cars. So if you pay $300 or $800, $800 is going to have a whole list of features. Some good, some beneficial, some nice, but not necessary. The swivel, wow, it's not necessary, but it is nice. Here's a swivel. Now this particular one has a DIN attachment on it. Don't worry about that. It goes into the valve like this, so it's just like this. Here it is behind your head. And here, I don't have all the parts on here, but I have a low pressure hose and I have a regulator hose. And over here would be your BC inflator and whatever. So it sits on there. But the difference between this and other non-swivel regulators is all these hoses, they all fasten on top and they all swing around like that. Kind of nice, huh? What's the benefit? Well, the benefit is twofold, two reasons. First of all, you don't want it to be a smart diver. I'm kidding, of course. You can mount it this way. And if you mount it this way, it's upside down, right? Or right side up, whichever way. Some people mount it this way. But you can still swivel the hoses around so they're on the right side. So if you mount it upside down this way, and the primary is on this side, you know, darn, swing it around. It's on that side. Everything's just fine. So you wouldn't do that. But technically you can. What's the real practical benefit? Well, the real practical benefit is this. I'm sure that all of you at some time or another has been using a regulator, whether it's your own or a rental or in training. And you're swimming along, generally speaking, it's in open water. This is not a big issue in the pool. Could be, but usually in open water. You're swimming along, you have a wetsuit on, perhaps you're in cold water, swimming along, and you turn your head suddenly and the reg tugs. Oh, you're trying to turn because the reg is tugging like this. Or an issue that I've had personally is just the opposite. If you turn to the right, if you turn that way, the reg hose is quite stiff. This is before flex hoses. I've been around since before flex hoses, yeah, trust me. I actually started diving before there were hoses. Anyway, I had that issue when if you turn to the right, sometimes the stiff hose would push it and push the reg out your left side. Yeah, it was a bit of a nuisance. So if you kept your head straight ahead, you were just fine, but you didn't get to see anything, right? The swivel allows you to swing your head left and right. So if this was your primary, it isn't, but if this was your primary, you know, and you turn your head to the right, see the swivel? Can you watch the swivel as I do that, Kev? Turn your head to the right, the swivel turns and the hose stays right where it was. Suppose I want to look at something on my left. I'm looking for my buddy or something, and my end's on my left. So this is the reg mounted on the tank, primer's in my mouth. I want to turn to the left. You see the swivel? The swivel moves with you. So there's no hose tug, no hose pull or push on that. That's the singular practical benefit. It's usually not a high cost. It is not a high maintenance item. These are very, very simple. They have an O-ring, sometimes two, and sometimes a Teflon washer and a nut in there. It's a very, very simple system. So it's not that you're buying a lot of aggravation. It's just a nice, simple feature that is nice to have. Now, these usually come with 3 or 4 low pressure ports. That's the hole, as they're called ports, right? This is 4 low pressure ports. Interestingly enough, some of them, and this particular brand made from Scuba Pro, and a lot of them do as well, has another low pressure port on top. For that viewer who asked me about should I get a swivel or not, well, the answer, as I often say, is, gosh, if you have a little extra cash laying around, no plans for it, and the swivel is only a few dollars extra, get the darn swivel. You really can't be unhappy with it. If you're saving up every penny you have to get a nice computer, don't spend it on a swivel. It's not that important. Last point I want to make is about the mounting of the swivel. Some people mount the swivel this way, and I think that is the original way that the swivel was intended, mounted up like this on the regulator. So the hose is in, as I've demonstrated, goes in and swings around. One small disadvantage to the swivel is it's a little bit higher. It's about 3/4 of an inch higher than a standard regulator would be. So people who are short, I'm going to guess, let's say you're less than 5'8", 5'9". Doesn't mean if you're 5'7", you're short necessarily, but if you have to break people into short and tall, let's use 5'8", short, tall. So if you're less than 5'8" and you put the regulator on like there's a slim chance that if you put your head up like this to look up, that it's going to touch the back of your head. It can happen. If you're tall, if you're 5'9" or taller, we were going to call that tall, that's not likely going to happen. You know where it happens? It happens in the pool. Because in the pool, because the pool is shallow, you tend to be more horizontal. You're like this. And if you're more horizontal like this, your head is here, and you want to look up the surface of the pool, you tend to really crane your head back, and it might bang on there. But if you're in open water, you tend to be a little more vertical like this. The likelihood of you bumping your head is slim. It's not a big deal anyway. If you're short, then this could be an issue. So what do? Turn it over. Now you will have to change the hoses so that they all go in the right holes again. Primary, octopus, say second, low pressure, and dry suit or whatever else you have. Change the hoses around, so then you mount it like this. So now the swivel's at the bottom. The singular disadvantage to this is that you lose the swivel effect because this hose can only go to your shoulder and only go to the tank. So the swivel, a lot of the swivel benefit is lost if you mount it that way. But anyway, just to point that out to you, there are two ways of mounting it, and whatever suits your type of diving is what you use. There you go. All you need to know about swivel first stages. Okay, guys, that's it. Alec Peirce, Scuba Tech Tips from Simcoe Diving. Talk to you again real soon.